अस्सलाम वालेकुम, नमस्ते और सत श्री अकाल। आप देख रहे हैं जी कंपेनियन। मैं हूं आपकी अपनी नताशा और जैसे आप जानते हैं रोज़ हम आपके लिए एक नई और ताज़ी टॉपिक लाते हैं to enjoy and get involved in. And today's topic is all about holiday brides. Yes, आप सोच रहे होंगे what exactly is this topic about? And don't worry, today I will have got a fantastic guest in the studio with me today who's going to talk more in depth and detail about this topic with us and with you at home. If you have any comments, any questions or want to contribute to today's show, then the number is indeed below your screen. We would love to hear from you. So without any further ado, please do get in touch with us. And I want to introduce you to our guest. Now, he is indeed a writer. He's a columnist for the Hindustani Times. He's also a fellow TV presenter as well. I'd like to introduce you all to the one, the only Khushwant Singh. Welcome to Z Companion. Aap kaise hain?
Thank you for inviting me on your show, Natasha. I'm well. I'm enjoying London.
Excellent. Yes. Now, today's topic, ab bahut sare log hamare soch rahe honge ki ye holiday brides kya hai? What exactly is the concept and who are holiday brides? So can you please elaborate on that for the viewers at home?
You know, the holiday brides actually they are victims of marriage, of a particular kind of marriage.
Okay.
And ये नाम holiday brides आपको लगता होगा कि ये पता नहीं क्या है, but it sounds like like a travel holiday package. So this is exactly what happens, that there are these youth men who go back to their home countries.
Right.
They want to get married. Maybe it's because of lust or whatever reasons. And there are these girls whose parents, they aspire to send their girls to abroad. And the match happens. And suddenly after, a year, 2 years, these guys disappear. And that's how this term came in, holiday brides, especially year 2000, 2001, 2005. In fact, मैं reporter था for Times of India और I covered a lot of these incidents because the area which I was covering had a lot of such cases.
Okay.
It's the Hoshiarpur, Jalandhar area in the Punjab.
Okay.
And so these cases, there were a lot of these cases, and the newspapers and the media gave these terms, the runaway bridegrooms, holiday brides, holiday bridegrooms, all this.
Okay. अब मैं आपको फिर से याद दिला दूं कि खुशवंत सिंह is indeed in the studio with us for only a short period of time. तो अगर आपका इनके लिए कोई भी सवाल हो, because we are going to be talking about a lot of issues today, including obviously this whole concept of holiday brides. We're going to be talking about his books. We're going to talk about his all-important biography that he wrote upon the runner known as Khushwant Singh, which many of you at home know in depth and detail as well. अगर आपके कोई भी सवाल हो, once again मैं आपको याद दिला दूं, give us a call. हमारा number है 0800 408 6700. So I want to come back to the topic of holiday brides. Now, ये सिर्फ पंजाब में ही प्रॉब्लम है या आपको लगता है कि इंडिया में ही है या पूरी दुनिया में? Where do you feel the problem lies?
I guess it's a global problem, but I think ये ज़्यादा पंजाब of India and पंजाब of Pakistan में ज़्यादा है, because यहाँ से माइग्रेशन बहुत हुई है. इफ़ यू लुक एट द इंडियन और द सब कॉन्टिनेंट कॉन्टेक्स्ट, बहुत मैक्सिमम माइग्रेशन जो अब्रॉड हुई है वो पाकिस्तान पंजाब या इंडियन पंजाब से हुई है. सो दैट्स वाई ये केसेस ज़्यादा हमें इस रीजन में दिखते हैं. एंड इट्स वेरी वेरी सैड. आई मीन, आप फैमिलीज़ को जाके देखिए वहाँ पे हु आर विक्टिम्स ऑफ दीज रनअवे bridegrooms or holiday bride seekers.
The sham marriages भी कह सकते हैं इनको.
So sham marriages, absolutely. It's marriage is what? Marriage तो सिर्फ नाम की है. Otherwise, it's just pure. The situation is on the ground is when you go and visit these families और आप देखो, एक हमारी उस region में एक aspiration है to go abroad.
जी, of course.
And there are parents जो अपनी लड़कियों को भेजना चाहते हैं बाहर. They want them, they want कि इनकी lives improve हो. And obviously parents think well for their child. And there are these guys जो आते हैं, ये लड़की ढूंढ रहे हैं, और maybe they are also not seeking. उनके parents are more keen कि अब ये आया हुआ है लड़का, इसकी शादी करा दी जाए. There is a mismatch. The girl is from a village. These guys have kind of maybe grown up, with a Western outlook. And the marriage happens.
Of course, yeah.
And then once they come back, they lose interest. It is very sad. And I think the saddest part also is the trauma.
That's what I was going to ask you. What's the worst case that you've ever seen so far as a result of a holiday bride or sham wedding and so forth?
I think it's you cannot have a meter to judge the tragedies. There's no barometer for that, because each tragedy brings its own trauma and anguish. And so, but I have seen I went to cover a story. There was this lady, and she had kind of grown old waiting for her husband, and she had 2 children.
From him?
From him,
okay.
Because obviously he came back for 1 or 2 years, and after that he just disconnected. It was in a village in Hoshiarpur, and
she just waited for him.
She just waited for him, and she's now fighting this legal battle too. But these things are separate. But she's lost. You see what has happened is that a young lady has lost her entire youth.
Yeah, that's
right.
heartbreaking.
Parents have their dreams have crashed.
Of course.
They have spent their lifetime savings for their daughter. Children have no father. There is a full generation, which is growing up fatherless. Imagine.
Really?
Yes. If there are cases happening, obviously, and there are children which are born out of a marriage, they are growing up fatherless, and see the implications of that.
And that's heartbreaking, not just for 1 or 2 parties, but for an entire, as you said, a family in itself.
Absolutely, for an entire family. In fact, there are a lot of marriage palaces that have come in the Punjab region, and a lot of marriage palace owners tell me they have seen the same guys come and as bridegrooms again and again.
Oh my gosh.
So they also sell there. If they are nationals of this thing, they also sell there.
It's a really sad state of affairs. You don't expect this. I know it does happen, but not as much as. I mean, it's becoming even more so nowadays. Why are people getting? Sounds awful to say, but why are people getting conned into these shamas? What are the reasons?
I think इसकी वजह मुझे जो लगती है, एक तो जैसे मैंने पहले भी कहा कि there is this desire to go abroad. So the parents want the girl should go. There is this guy who comes, and sometimes he's not even interested in a marriage, and he's just there to have a good time, right? So I think it's exploitation of the aspirations of the girl's parents or the girl or herself, because the girl has kind of dreamt that once you go abroad you'll have a life, she can, and so I think it becomes aspirational and lust on one side, and the exploitation happens.
Yeah, it's very sad, I have to say. मैं आप सबको फिर याद दिला दूं, अगर आपका कोई भी comment हो, if you've gone through any of the experiences that we're talking about today, then please do give us a call. हमारा number है 0800 408 6700, and we're only here for half an hour today. So once again, if you want to get in touch, now is the time to get in contact with us. So Khushwant, I have to ask you another question. Now, we've talked a bit about the background of these, I should say, holiday weddings or holiday marriages, and then we've talked a little about some of perhaps the reasons aren't very clear why people are doing this. Is it just a lalach thing? Is it just pure greed on behalf of the boy's family, or I don't know.
I think a lot of it is because of lack of awareness. Because if you are aware, then greed also goes away, because you are aware of a certain situation. If you're aware that there is a catastrophe waiting to happen, you wouldn't go there if even there's gold lying there.
Of course.
Right. So I think one of the basic problems is the lack of awareness and education in villages. Governments have obviously not invested in education and much, so people are not very highly educated and aware. And there was no internet initially, when the early 2000s, there was not internet penetration. So this is one of the basic causes, that as and when now, newspapers, media picked it up, obviously the word spread and people are much more aware of it. But yes, still people get conned. People still get conned because at some point maybe greed takes over. But I think if there's more and more awareness, this will come down. And you need to legislate much better also. You need better legislations. If you legislate, you need to educate people about those legislations. You need a propaganda So all these factors have to come together, you know.
Now, you're speaking about writing, and I know for a fact that you are indeed an author yourself. You do indeed write for the Hindustani Times as well, and you've touched upon a number of issues through articles that you've written about in the past. We've talked about, obviously, the holiday marriages, and now I want to speak to you a bit more about the drug usage, particularly within the Asian community, because that's something that I know you've talked about and you've discussed in great depth and detail through your work. You've also recently brought out a book as well called The Maharaja of Denim. So what is that about, first of all?
Well, my latest book is a work of fiction. It's titled Maharaja in Denims. And basically, again, it's a reflection of the society of the state that I come from, that is the Punjab. So what I've done is I've given Maharaja Ranjit Singh rebirth.
Okay.
In fact, there's this young boy, 18-year-old boy, who keeps getting flashbacks of being Maharaja Ranjit Singh in his previous birth. He has this life of a teenager, but he keeps getting these flashbacks. And but then he also starts comparing the two Punjabs and the two states.
Okay.
You know, his time and the contemporary time. And the story also shifts to England, because that's where Maharaja Ranjit Singh's, one of his sons, Maharaja Duleep Singh, is buried here in Elvedon Hall.
Wonderful.
So this is the narrative. But apart from the story, the work basically talks about the issues of Punjab, of the region, of the country, of the world. And as you rightly said, drug issue.
Of course.
I think there is very high usage of drugs amongst Punjabi youth. And not only in Punjab, I think I see that happening, that Punjabi youth are actually indulging in drugs or drug trade in Canada.
Really?
There are a lot of news items which are coming out from that area.
And what do you feel are some of the causes of this usage? Because obviously, I'm not going to lie to you, drugs are out there everywhere. We've done countless episodes on drugs on Z Companion. And I just want to ask you, in your experience, why do you feel, particularly in the South Asian community, that everyone is or dabbling in, or most people are, not even everyone, it's just certain people choose to take that path, I should say?
Easy availability, experimentation, and I think somewhere we went wrong with the value system.
Okay, in what way?
We didn't invest in education. I write a column in the Hindustan Times called The Punjabi by Nature.
Right.
And I keep writing that we have not invested much money in education. We've invested a lot of money in religion.
Okay.
Right.
When you say we've invested a lot in religion, I don't want to go too much into depth and detail because religion is not our topic today, but still, in regards to what respect do you feel that we've invested in religion, the amount of money we spent contributing towards...
Yeah, the amount of money we spend towards creating structures for our temples, gurudwaras. Imagine if that money was to go into education.
True, I can understand.
There are more religious places in Punjab than schools.
That's...
Yeah, it talks about, what's a priority. And when you don't invest in education, education has this natural process of unfolding in a particular manner. You educate, you aspire, you go seeking for a job. There's always something happening. But when you're not educating yourself, there is a digression from a normal course.
Of course.
And that's what is causing this problem.
I understand. A lot of people say that the governments are to blame. That everyone seems to say, oh, it's the government's fault, the government's fault. The government gets money, they can spend it on areas, towns, villages, cities, whatever. Whose responsibility is it?
I mean, it's a collective responsibility, and the larger role and responsibility should come on the government. Because, for example, if I tell you something about Punjab, particularly, in Punjab you have, the drugs coming from cross-border, which is one area. Then you have in-house production of synthetic drugs. But a lot of the youth are consuming drugs which are available in the sense like your cough syrups and all, which are available, from chemists.
Yeah.
At least the government can enforce laws and rules and regulations there.
I can understand that.
And also, again, the government, how does the government has to ideate, government is an icon. Government should become like an icon. What it wants its people to feel.
Exactly.
Someone was telling me, for example, in Australia, smoking was considered very cool, but the government invested a lot of money to project sports as being cool.
And make it trendy for them.
And make it trendy for them. So governments have to ideate, and governments have to become these icons, not these organizations which have inertia and just, are doing their inaugurations and, opening ceremonies.
Yeah. I understand what you mean.
Yes.
Now, coming back to your book, because we've talked a bit about a lot of things actually we've talked about, but I just want to remind you that Khushwant Singh is only here with us for half an hour. अगर आपका कोई भी सवाल हो इनके लिए, then please do give us a call. हमारा number है 0800 408 6700. Coming back to your book, The Maharaja's Indemnity, you've said that it is fictional, obviously, but do you ever combine fiction and fact in your books, I should say?
This is, in fact, a lot of the critics or the people who've written about it, they call it a historical fiction.
Right.
And so the historical facts are very true.
Mm-hmm.
So the book, if I were to share, something
I'd love
about
for
the
you
book.
to, if you could.
So there is this boy, as I said, who gets these flashbacks of being Maharaja Ranjit Singh, and he gets into this comparison. He has a girlfriend,
okay.
and she decides that one of the ways to get him out of this is to regress him through this past life regression.
Okay.
So she takes him through this process of regression,
mm-hmm.
and he recalls 2 other lives as a 1984 riot victim, Sikh riot victim in Delhi,
Wow.
and a 1947 partition victim,
Wow.
in the riots of the partition riots. So we are also trying to make a statement through the narrative on the issues, that are still prevalent in India, or the secular issues, or the various social issues, the changes in these geographic areas of Ranjit Singh's empire. So through the narrative, we try to do that. Okay. And since, as you mentioned about the NRI, the bridegroom issues also, it finds mention in my book. So the issue. So what I mean to say is that whatever issues have dominated, our psyche, or
What do you feel are the main core issues that affect the South Asian community these days, and that you've addressed in your book? What do you feel the main ones that you feel that that you've touched upon through the book that you've written?
I somehow think that the South Asian community has not been able to. It can work hard. They are hard workers. They are labor guys. But it has not been able to, as a mass, it has not been able to educate itself. It has not been able to invest and take itself to a higher level where research happens, mm-hmm. where a Microsoft can happen.
Okay. Or any other technological,
phenomenon can happen.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of investment this community needs, and that will change the dimension, and that's where then we can say today we compare ourselves that we have a Mercedes car or a Rolls Royce, which even the Western guys have, but that's not a comparison. The comparison is the mind. Mm-hmm. The South Asian community needs to take this mind to a different level.
Excellent. नहीं बिल्कुल सही कहा. I have to agree with you. अब अगला डायरेक्शन में मैं जानना चाहूँगी कि आपने बायोग्राफी भी लिखी है of the legendary Fauja Singh, who I have to say is incredible, and बहुत सारे लोग उनको देखना भी पसंद करते हैं, बात करते हुए he's fantastic, and aside from that he's a great athlete. तो आपको कैसे लगा उनके साथ काम करते हुए? How did you find that experience?
It was a pilgrimage, for me. Actually, Fauja Singh को पहले मैं 2005 में मिला था.
अच्छा.
And मेरी पहली किताब थी Sikhs Unlimited. And so his coach called me in about 2009, 2010 and said that Fauja Singh will turn 100 in 2011. Mm-hmm. And your work in Sikhs Unlimited is, very interesting on Fauja Singh. So will you volunteer 1 year of your life to write about him? Okay. I said, great. And I took a flight and I came here and I met Fauja Singh.
तो आपकी पहली मुलाकात कैसी रही?
So पहली मुलाकात was very interesting. So मेरी सारी interview Fauja Singh के साथ is on the streets of London. He told me, he says, काका इदा है कि या तो मैं सौ सकदा ते या मैं तुर सकदा, बह मैं सकदा नहीं. So we started walking and I had this dictaphone. And we walked about 5-7 kilometers and he tells me, तू मेरी गल्लां सुनी जानी है कि मेमा भी देखनी है.
Oh,
so such an energetic guy and so much, full of life. And it was a pilgrimage. I learned so much from Fauja Singh.
Okay.
In terms of eating habits, in terms of sabr, in terms of taking life.
मैं सब के बारे में पूछूंगी आपसे, लेकिन फिलहाल एक कॉल की तरफ चलते हैं. हेलो, वेलकम टू जी कंपेनियन. आप कौन बोल रहे हैं?
मैं मिसेस हुसैन बोल रही हूँ.
हेलो मिसेस हुसैन, आप कैसी हैं?
ठीक हूँ. मुझे खुशवंत सिंह साहब से एक क्वेश्चन पूछना है.
जी पूछिए.
उनसे बात करनी है मुझे.
जी कीजिए.
जी खुशवंत सिंह
हाँ जी,
जी.
हाँ जी, सत श्री अकाल जी.
बहुत खुशी हुई ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇੱਥੇ ਵੇਖ ਕੇ.
Thank you.
ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਅੱਛੇ ਮੁਸੰਨਿਫ ਹੋ, ਆਥਰ ਹੋ ਮੁxtਲਿਫ ਕਿਤਾਬਾਂ ਦੇ, ਔਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਟੌਪਿਕ ਲਿੱਤਾ ਵੇ ਹੌਲੀਡੇ ਬ੍ਰਾਈਡਸ ਦਾ, ਇਟਸ ਵੈਰੀ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ, ਵੈਰੀ ਸੀਰੀਅਸ ਮੈਟਰ. ਲੇਕਿਨ ਮੈਂ ਇਹ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਪੁੱਛਾਂਗੀ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਫਿਰ ਸੋਲੂਸ਼ਨ ਕੀ ਦਿੱਤਾ, ਕੀ ਸੋਲੂਸ਼ਨ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਇਸ ਮਸਲੇ ਦਾ, ਕਿ ਮਸਲਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਬਲਕਿ it's also involve the whole different countries. For overseas countries it involve ਕਿ ਲੜਕੇ ਇੱਥੋਂ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ, ਉੱਥੇ ਸ਼ਾਦੀਆਂ ਕਰਕੇ ਔਰਤਾਂ ਲੜਕੀਆਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਛੱਡ ਦਿੱਤਾ, ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਮਸਲਾ, ਔਰ ਇਹ ਫਿਰ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਚਲੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ. ਤੇ ਇਸ ਮਸਲੇ ਨੂੰ ਰੋਕਣ ਦੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਕੀ ਖਿਆਲ, ਕੀ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ?
ਆਈ ਥਿੰਕ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਹਦਾ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਇਹ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਹੀ ਰੁਕ ਜਾਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, ਮੈਰਿਜ ਹੋਣ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲੇ. ਸਾਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਟਰਾਈ ਕਰਨੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ. ਬਾਕੀ ਅੱਗੇ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਲੀਗਲ ਮੈਟਰਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ. ਬਟ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮੈਂ ਪਿੰਡਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੇਖਿਆ, ਇੱਕ ਲੈਕ ਆਫ ਅਵੇਅਰਨੈਸ ਇੱਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੈ, ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੋਪੇਗੈਂਡਾ ਦੇ ਥਰੂ ਅਵੇਅਰਨੈਸ ਲਿਆਣੀ ਬੜੀ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ. ਐਂਡ ਸਰਕਾਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਲੈਜਿਸਲੇਸ਼ਨਸ ਲਿਆਣੀਆਂ ਚਾਹੀਦੀਆਂ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਵਿਚ ਹੈਲਪ ਇੱਕ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੈਸ ਨੂੰ, ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਪਾਸਪੋਰਟ ਫਾਰਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਭਰਦੇ ਕਿ ਕਈ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੈਸਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਫਿਰ ਸਾਡੀ ਇੱਕ ਆਈਡੈਂਟੀਟੀ ਕੈਮ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ. ਸੋ ਜਿਹੜਾ NRI ਬੰਦਾ ਵਿਆਹ ਕਰਾਉਣ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ, ਉਹਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੈਸ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਬਿਫੋਰ ਹੀ ਕੈਨ ਗੈਟ ਮੈਰਿਡ ਲਾਈਕ ਦਿਸ. ਔਰ ਉਹ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਨੇ ਕੁਝ ਇਨੀਸ਼ੀਏਟ ਵੀ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਕੋਰਟ ਮੈਰਿਜਸ ਹੁਣ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਹੋ ਗਈਆਂ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ, ਮਤਲਬ ਕੰਪਲਸਰੀ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਹੈ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਵਿੱਚ, ਤੇ ਸਰਪੰਚ ਤੋਂ ਵੀ ਸਰਟੀਫਿਕੇਟ ਲੈਣਾ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਬੰਦੇ ਲਈ. ਸੋ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੇ ਹੋਰ ਇਨੋਵੇਟਿਵ ਆਈਡੀਆਜ਼ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਆਪਾਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਕਾਫੀ ਕਰਬ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ. ਐਂਡ ਸੈਕੰਡਲੀ ਦੂਜੀ ਗੱਲ, ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਵੇਂ ਰੇਪ ਲਾਜ਼ ਆਏ ਨੇ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਟ੍ਰਿਕਟ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਨੇ, ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਲੈਜਿਸਲੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਐਗਜ਼ੈਂਪਲਰੀ ਪਨਿਸ਼ਮੈਂਟ ਦੇਤੀ ਜਾਏ. ਅਸੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹਾ ਏਰੀਆ ਹੈ, ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ ਪੰਜਾਬ, ਹਿੰਦੁਸਤਾਨ ਪੰਜਾਬ, ਇੱਕ ਦੋ ਬੰਦੇ ਚੰਗੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਪਨਿਸ਼ ਹੋਏ ਹੋਣ, ਆਪੇ ਸਿੱਧੇ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਲੋਕ.
Okay, Mrs. Hussain, thank you very, very much for your call. आपकी कॉल का बहुत-बहुत शुक्रिया. We really do appreciate it. Thank you once again. अच्छा, so unfortunately we're very short for time. लेकिन just coming back to Khushwant Singh, आपने कहा था कि आपने उनसे काफ़ी कुछ सीखा है when you were with him. तो can you just sum up कि आपने उनसे क्या, I should say, most important चीज़ें उनसे, या words of wisdom उनसे क्या आपने?
I think जो सबसे important चीज़ें, मैंने दो चीज़ें सीखी है. एक तो कम खाना.
अच्छा.
That is the biggest gift anyone can get in life. कि how to eat less.
Oh, fantastic.
And दूसरा हंसना, खुल के हंसना.
That's wonderful.
ये दो चीज़ां जिंदगी च मिल जान, ते I think जिंदगी तो and फराटे मार के निकलेगी. It'll go very well.
That's wonderful. Well, I want to thank you very, very much to all of you who've got in touch with us throughout the day about this topic. I know it's been very sensitive, and I do appreciate all your feedback. I'd like to thank Mr. Khushwant Singh for being on the show and being a wonderful guest and contributing to such a, I should say, in-depth topic that we've been discussing all day. अब as आप जानते, जैसे आप जानते हैं, हर शो के बाद हम 3 चीज़ें आपको बताते हैं, our guest of the day, and the 3 things that Khushwant Singh has made very clear in regards to holiday brides. And the first thing I need to make you all aware of is that you need to weigh up your options. Please make sure that if you have a daughter, you take care of her. She's not to be bargained with or bargained for. It's important that you make sure that where she's going, जिस घर में वो जा रही है, वो अच्छा और ठीक भी हो उनके लिए और आपके लिए भी as well. दूसरी चीज़, please be aware कि जब कोई लड़का आपकी बेटी को देखने आया है, उसका पूरा I know CIA, MI5 या MI6 का background check हर कोई नहीं कर सकता है, ना कर सकते हैं, लेकिन फिर भी make sure you do a background check on them. उसके अलावा, last but not least, please make sure कि अगर if you have been a victim of this sham wedding, of for example being a holiday bride, and you have got through to the other side, then please do take your time and educate other people. It is very, very important कि एक community होने के नाते हम एक दूसरे के साथ रहें. मैं फिर हाजिर होंगी आपके सामने. जी कंपेनियन देखना ना भूलिएगा, मेरे साथ सिर्फ और सिर्फ आपके मनपसंद ZeeTV पे.